Okay, so new day, new TikTok. I'm out here still in Men's Park. I got done. Part of this journey is that you start doing devotionals like Busy Bee to like bring you sanity and peace and grounding you and giving you center and doing all of these things. But I'm sitting here. I was reading one of these devotionals. It says we can trust ourselves to get where we need to go. Say what we need to say, do what we need to do, know what we need to know, be who we need to be, and become all we can become. We are intended to do that when we are ready and when the time is right. Trust in yourself. We do not have to plan, control, and schedule all things. The schedule and plan have been written. All we need to do is show up. Cars constantly go by here. And then in my other book, it says 1 Peter 5:7, cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. And it's so interesting because one of the things says many of us carry around a similar weight of anxiety, working ourselves into a ball of tears over things that will never materialize. This is not how God wants us to live. He looks down on us, his precious children, and asks us to turn all those things that are worrying us over to him. He loves us and he's much more capable of handling those things than we are. Have like crying. And I thought to myself, I really look like ass on the camera right now, but this is actually what I look like when I just don't have makeup on and I woke up a little bit ago. But I don't know, it's really interesting in that what I'm realizing right now, just sitting here reading those, for some reason, like I have this fear, and so many of my loved ones and friends tell me, don't have the fear. I own a business. I have owned a business. I've ran companies. I've done national sales. I've done a whole bunch of big things, right? And I think one of the hardest things for me, it's like I tell people that I never thought I'd have 5 kids. I thought maybe in my life I'd have one. I wanted to be a lawyer. Didn't become a lawyer because I got knocked up early. But I have 5 kids. One thing I wanted to be like my whole life though was a wife. Always wanted to be a wife. And now I'm divorced twice. And I can't help but lately think maybe what I was supposed to be, what I thought I wanted to be, wasn't what I was supposed to be. So thought I wanted to be a wife. Maybe I'm not supposed to be a wife. Didn't think I was supposed to be a mom. I'm a mom. And it's just really interesting. I'm going to be 40 next month. And my life looks completely opposite of what I would have ever freaking imagined my life to look like. And it's interesting from a perspective that, when you're married to somebody for so long, right? So my second marriage, I was married for a really long time. I think that as you go through this process, you have to see things for what they are. And right now, I'm just not good with that because it requires you to see and go back to a lot of discussions that were had, conversations over the years, signs, if you will, that it should have just been done way longer ago than it was allowed to drag out, right? Like we just let it keep dragging out. But I think one of my biggest fears is, how do you trust the people, right? How do you trust anyone? How can you trust someone's face value, right? Because when you're married to someone and you trust them for face value, they're your other half. Like you live with them, you sleep with them, sex with them, you hang out with them, you travel with them, you raise children sometimes if you have kids or animals, whatever it is. Like you're living your life with this person. And it gets very overwhelming right now, today specifically, because I'm gaining some clarity, right? Some perspective. But if you're living that intimate with someone and the way it all unraveled, right? The way it all was, you realize, like, if you can't even trust that person that you were sleeping next to, how can you trust anybody else? And so, you have the people that support you and love you well. And I have a huge tribe of people that have been really supportive, love me, still love me, care about me, check in on me, and on my kids. And it's still just a hard pill to swallow because they love you. They don't always tell me what I want to hear. It's not about that they're the people that tell me I'm right. It's not about being right or wrong. Because sometimes they encourage me and tell me where I could be doing better or whatever, right? Like they're true friends, they're true family, they're just people that love and support me. But the interesting piece of that is it's still just so hard because what they see in me is different than what I believe about me. I don't see that good like they see in me. Part of that, part of it, most of it is because of kind of the backlog, right? Like all of those things. And so it's just kind of learning how to differentiate, and it's learning how to trust. It's learning how to, for me, I understand that this is going to be kind of ups and down days or whatever. Fine. But for me, the one thing that just drives me crazy about this process is the nausea. I said it in one of my TikTok videos. I might post this on TikTok, I don't know. But yeah, it's the nausea. I don't like feeling nauseated because it's just a miserable feeling. And, I don't like seeing my kids sad. The two little ones are sad. Not easy for me. When you take them to school or you're living your life day to day, I think you take for granted that you get to have them back every day. Learning that I don't have them for a few days is not getting any easier. I think it's getting harder because now it's sinking in that this is really what life is going to look like until they're 18, right? Because all 18-year-olds are ready to move out the dang house. I have older ones and they did that. I'm 18, I'm moving out, blah, blah, blah. But it's just really interesting. It's not easy. And, I commit to be honest and real in my life. This part of it has not been easy to be honest about because I don't like people seeing me like this. I try to keep a brave face. I try to stay strong. I try to be positive. Even through this whole divorce journey, the one thing I will say, it's really hard to embrace it, because it is what it is. But it's definitely the gift, the positive. I was gifted freedom. I was gifted a freedom because I was so determined to keep my family together, so determined to a fault where I would have just stayed, and I had kind of just adapted and learned that just was what my life was going to be, and for this life, right? And the cards for this life that we were dealt. And so I was gifted freedom, but I'm not used to not living with kids. I've always had kids. I got knocked up at 16, so I've had my kids my whole life. Learning that you have this quiet time and learning that you have these freedoms, learning that you have time to go hang out with girlfriends or hang out with your friends, or learning all those things. And it sounds great, like, oh, this is so awesome. It's not necessarily. Some days it is awesome, but many days it's also hard because you can't help but recognize that the reason why you have those extra moments is because you don't have marriage anymore and because you don't have your kids for a few days. So I hope that shares some inspiration for you if you're going through this. You're not alone. And like I said, I have a huge tribe of people that are helping me get through it because it's not easy. And I'm giving myself about an hour more, and then I gotta get my cagadera together, and I've got work to do today. So, but these times of just kind of perspective, I've got Witten's blanket out here in Munds Park. I've got Baker's Swati in there to remind me of the boys. Telling my kids I love them, just kind of learning this routine of how do you try to keep it all together? How do you try to keep your kids together, in essence? I'm learning all that and how to balance the healing process. At what time of day am I allowed to work on healing so that the rest of the day I can work and function and get done what we need to get done, kind of deal. So anyways, that's my mumble jumble. I will see you guys later. And like I said, I guess I'm just going to be sharing in a very transparent way. But all of you that have known me for all these years, and even not a lot of years, I share in hopes that it will bring some feelings of normalcy to you, that emotions and struggles are real, but just because we have them doesn't mean it's who we are. You still very much deserve an amazing life and a positive life and nothing but good things. So for those of you out there that can relate, I see you, I love you. We're in it together, clearly, because this is what I look like today. But I'll talk to you later. Bye.